Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going over the Nightmare Moon Gems of War event in which the Nightmare is added to the game. It is worth mentioning that this Friday is a new kingdom. This is actually going to be the last new kingdom that's going to be introduced to Gems of War for a very long time, probably for upwards of a year. This is mainly because next patch is going to be bringing in a system called factions, which are basically like minier kingdoms. We'll be going over those more in the future, but basically they're going to be the replacement for kingdoms, and while they're going to be pumping them out, they're not really going to be releasing any kingdoms to the game. This is mainly because they don't want to overflood the game with too many kingdoms, because it's already taking forever to go through every event. Every single kingdom basically only rotates about twice per year, so they don't want to make it like only once per year for literally every single kingdom. So this kingdom coming this Friday, pretty much the last one for the foreseeable future. They will be adding more eventually, but for a very long time it'll be the last one. But anyways, as far as this troop, the Arcane Tree Stones that they give is pure yellow. You'll be able to use this for two things. The Priest class, if you want to go level that up, that is really good with, of course, all the Divine teams that are out there these days. You can also use it for Humility, which is one of the best magic buffing troops in the game. Not only does its trait buff all the magic of your allies, but also its ability itself has a chance of doing so. As far as this troop, you can basically ignore it. It is outclassed by Moneylender, Hellcat, and basically anything that creates red. All it does is create 5 red, and then it's boosted by burning at 2 times for a maximum of 13 reds, which is already less than Moneylender's maximum, and it requires every single enemy being burned, which means they need to not be immune, which means you also need a burner option. So just really not worth it. It also basically has the same traits as Hellcat, and you're better off just using Hellcat instead of this thing, so I wouldn't really bother with it. The only reason you'd ever use it is for the 40 souls that you would kind of get from it this week. With that being said, go into the event objectives. We get 10% to all Blighted Lands, as well as 10% to all Daemons, which basically means the entirety of Blighted Lands pretty much is 20%, because almost the entirety of the kingdom is both Blighted Lands, Daemons, so you'll be getting that bonus for a good majority of them. As far as the Nightmare, as I mentioned, you get 40 extra souls in PvP and Explore. For the most part, you might not be using it too much in PvP. Definitely some in Explore, though, however, because the event objective this week is to kill a bunch of yellows in Explore. You also get quite a bit of event keys. Event keys you'll most likely want to save for next week, because as I mentioned, new kingdom's coming next week, so you'll be able to use all your event keys then in order to get all the new content that's going to be coming in through it. But basically, let's go and just go to Whitehelm. Whitehelm is one of the better locations where you can find a bunch of yellow. All you have to do is just keep repeating a kingdom like this, and a kingdom that has a lot of yellow in it, and you'll get all of the event objectives done in no time. So let's go kill this real quick, which is a pretty standard Explorer team. We're using the horse with it, the Nightmare, just so we can get the extra 40 souls, in case we want it. Otherwise, we'd use another damage source. Get it worse, fine. It just did so much damage to us. Well, we'll throw that down. We actually can't even get the Inferno King kill. Knowing our luck, he's probably going to get a revive at this point. But yeah, normally we'll take 2 Sunbirds, particularly earlier on in the game. I'd say in the game you can normally get away with 1, but he definitely does not want us to. And there he goes. Okay, at least he did not revive, so we got that going for us. But yeah, you just do that and you'll get all the event related stuff. With that being said, let me go over the event key drop table. As I mentioned, it's probably not as worth going for, but there are still some things in the event key drop table this week that you might want to seek out. The main one being Hellcat. So if we go over to Blighted Lands, all of the ultra rare and above here you'd be able to obtain. So that includes Amnesia, Bone Daemon, Dark Monolith, Desdemona, Arenas, Hellcats, Herald of Chaos, the Incubus, Inferno King, not Sir, what's his name? He's from the Invasion, and we'll be going over him in a second. The Twisted Hero, and the Venberic. As far as which one of these are actually viable, which you can get, it's mainly only 3. The Inferno King, the Hellcat, and the Amnesia. The only one I would say you would want to have before this week ends is mainly just Hellcat. He's an epic rarity, so he's a little bit lower, so you'll probably be able to get him. He can be replaced with Moneylender if you don't have him, but still, he has quite a bit of a bonus this week, and still, he's a nice alternative. Basically, he's used with Alchemist Hellcat. The alternative, of course, is Alchemist Moneylender if you want to go down that route. But both of them, of course, are better options than the Nightmare. But yeah, that's about the only thing I would really say to go for. You could try for Amnesia or Inferno King, but not really that worth it. And the other legend from this kingdom, Dark Monolith, is pretty underwhelming. It only deals double damage if it's damaged on its HP, and that's somewhat hard to do unless the enemy happens to have a poison or something like that. But yeah, I would just save your event keys for next week for when the new kingdom gets released, most likely. Or for sure. But as far as using your keys, you don't want to save it for that. Anyways, let's go over to, I guess, invasions now. let's go and do an evasion. Before we do, let's go over the weapon real quick, because I feel like I always forget to go over it. Like always, it's pretty much useless, and this is no exception. It deals damage to all enemies, and it's boosted by all enemy towers at 8 times boost ratio, meaning that you can get a total of 32 additional damage on top of whatever your base damage is there to all towers if you're up against 4 towers. This isn't really that worth it, because any Mang-like weapon, like Earth's Fury, Mang, literally any of them, will be better than this, so not really that good. Maybe as a really early game player, if you have almost no stats, you could use it for the earlier towers, and it could kind of be an alternative weapon for that. But still, nonetheless, you'd want to get it just because, of course, now these days with how Kingdom upgrades are, you'll pretty much want to get every weapon you ever see because they'll eventually be required for Kingdom upgrades. Anyways, let's go do a battle real quick with the team that I'm going to be using most of the time, and that is Sir Mordain, which is the the invasion troop this week. Do keep in mind, we are restricted to just daemons. We can use any daemons, but we are restricted just to daemons specifically. We're using Earth's Fury. If you don't have that, you can just use Mang. I'm using Amnesia. If you don't have that, you can just use Hellcat. And I'm using Yagoi with this all the way in the back. So basically what we're going to be doing here is getting Amnesia up if we can. Otherwise, we just go straight into the Yagoi. I actually got the Valraven right in first slot, so that's kind of pretty convenient. Also, you'd most likely want to use, of course, fully traded Titan if you're going to play this as optimally as possible. I still have the Orb Weaver set at the moment because we're trying to level it, as is the event, or the class event this week is to go do the Orb Weaver. I figured we get it to level 70 so we could show it for the video. Anyways, let's go, and I definitely need to kill this out. I almost feel like going all in on it just to make sure it doesn't evade. Oh, we'll go take a blue for now. I don't see anything that he's really going to take. We'll get that to full mana. He's going to create a bunch of yellow. That's actually really concerning because there's a chance he's actually going to win. Or not win, but I do not want that Valraven getting away. So I'm actually going to do a big explosion here and deliberately try to kill him, and we were able to land it, so that worked out. I'll go for another poke, he'll go one shot. He does gain in rage every single time that you get a kill, so you can keep hitting really high hits, and there we go. But yeah, there's a weird mechanic with him too. If you're wondering like why he doesn't steal 6 mana, because he has a 6 mana steal. This is really strange. But the problem is these things have immune to mana drain. You can see it right there, immune to mana drain. It says it right there. So I don't know why on Earth he has a 6 mana drain. So if you're wondering like why he keeps draining 0 mana, it's because he has 6 mana steal, but they have immune to mana drain every single tower. So I don't know why on Earth they gave it the 6 mana steal. It's really, really strange, but it's not a glitch. It's just really weird game design, apparently. Anyways, that's that. Let's go over the little other things. It's International Dog Day, I believe, this weekend. So we're having a dog, a corgi, coming out on Wednesday for the pet rescue. It's completely cosmetic, but it's really cute and adorable. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't this the first dog pet? So yeah, any of you who have been wanting dogs instead of all the cats, you now have a dog option. It is cosmetic though, so pretty useless. Other than that, of course, as I mentioned, we have Orb Weaver hero class. The only thing really noteworthy about that, there's 2 things. One is it's the only hero class with immune to mana drain, and the second one is it creates giant spiders, which is really good if you're using a purple weapon because you can just feed purple mana right back into yourself by getting the giant spider summons. But that's the only 2 things it's really good for. Everything else is pretty underwhelming. And that is that. Oh, wait. One other thing. Soulforge! 2 pretty relevant things in Soulforge this week. One is Wardbreaker. He's just a general damage source and probably one of the top 5 mythics. I'd probably place him up there. He's basically, if you're going to be planning on doing a optimal 4x dragon team, you'll definitely want to have him around. He's pretty good on Guild War Days too because of how much mana accumulation he can get. Biggest issue he has is he's tied at the highest mana cost in the game. But other than that, once he gets going, he's really strong. 18 explosions per cast, regardless of what your magic is. So the second you get him, you have that many explosions, regardless of any other stats. And he also has really high AoE damage. And if you're using him with Dragon Guard, with something like Mountain Crusher as Dragon Guard, with Dragon Soul, World Breaker, and maybe like a Glitter Claw in the back, it works very, very well. And one of the strongest dragon teams in the game, or actually pretty much is the strongest dragon team in the game, as well as among one of the strongest just overall. And the other is Guard's Avatar. Normally I wouldn't say to craft this, but they finally said some spoilers on last night on the stream that they did, on the Q&A stream. So I can finally say this now. So on some of my streams I've been saying if Guard's Avatar comes into the Soulforge, you would want to craft it. So now I can finally say why. The reason is, with the faction that's going to be coming in version 4.0, which is in like about a week or 2, or very, very, very soon TM. But as soon as it comes around, Whitehelm is technically getting 4 more troops because the faction troops, the 4 faction troops that come in through the faction, count as Whitehelm. Which means Whitehelm, if you have a Guard's Avatar, will be the first 10 10-star kingdom, the first 11-star kingdom, and the first 12-star kingdom all simultaneously the second that the next patch gets released. So, yeah, White Helm's already the best home kingdom for tributes, and now it's going to be even better. And, yeah, you will need a Guard's Avatar for that. If you want to get above 10, you will need a Guard's Avatar, because if you go and check the thingy for it, and we just go check over here to Kingdom Power, you will see that one of the requirements is to own a, I was wondering why it's because we already have it, but it is required to own 1 mythic, and of course the only mythic in the kingdom, like most kingdoms, only 1, and in this case it is the Guard's Avatar, so you do need to own him in order to get level 10, and of course you would also need it for 11 and 12, because you need it for level 10, or else you can never get to level 10. So if you're at level 7 or higher, and you have enough to craft Guard's Avatar, I would highly, highly, highly advise to get a Guard's Avatar. By level 7, I mean the power level of White Helm. Yeah, if you have 4,000 diamonds and your power level of White Helm's over 7, I would highly advise getting one, because you'll be able to push it to 10 pretty quickly once next patch gets released. Also, next kingdom's going to be almost purely Daemon, and Guard's Avatar does silence all Daemons with his ability, which could be useful given that there are going to be some annoying troops coming in on the new kingdom that you'll be able to counter with it. So you get to kind of do twice in one single troop. Anyways, let's go over one little quick PvP thing, or 2 things actually real quick. Let me go over just this. I kind of already mentioned it, but as far as things that are better than Nightmare in rarity order, of course Nightmare's common, but Moneylender is probably one of the better options. It creates a minimum of 6, which is already better than the Nightmare. Actually, let me go bring Nightmare up so we can just compare it. So we go type in Nightmare. Okay, so as you can see, this does a default of 5. And it does a maximum of 13 gems, assuming you can somehow burn the entire enemy team and keep them burned. Whereas Moneylender has a default of 1 higher, and also has a maximum of 1 higher. Also, he does not have any kind of condition that can be undone. Once he reaches enough gold to be able to get 14, he will perpetually keep doing 14. Unlike this, where you're going to keep getting kills, and the burns are going to get cleansed, and other stuff, which is going to make it pretty useless. Next up on to Ultra Rare would be Fire Giant. This thing, if you're going to already be burning anyways, he does triple damage, and you'll be able to get 10 red gems instead of the 5 or the 7 or whatever. It might end up getting 9 even, but it's generally going to be way better. It does only do it when it gets a kill, but if they're already going to be burned anyways, you're doing triple damage to them, meaning you're most likely going to be killing most of them. Next up is, of course, one of the more traditional options. It's Hellcat. It's even almost the exact same traits. It has the exact same typing, Daemon Beast, Fireproof of Flame. So basically it's just superior in every single way, the Hellcat. So no point in really using that thing if you own a Hellcat. And other than that, if you needed another cheap option, even though this is a legendary weapon, technically, you get it for free from completing out the Orskea Kingdom, and this creates 9 red consistently, plus has a summon, which is good in longevity battles where you're trying to go for a very long period of time, like things like raid invasions. Well, actually, you probably wouldn't use it in those, but any kind of battle where you kind of need to survive for a while, where you need red gem spam. So all these things are better than Nightmare, so there's really no point in ever using Nightmare. Most of these are really low rarity too, like Moneylender, Fire Giant, this in event keys, as well as this for free just from doing a single quest line. So really no point in using Nightmare is the bottom line here. But anyways, I want to go do a team real quick, and that is a Hellcat loop team, since there isn't really anything to show with the other troops or anything. I figured we just go with this. Basically all we have to do is just do Alchemist Hellcat loop. You can do this with double Goblin Rocket if you don't have, of course, Yagway or Queen Titania. Though ideally you would be using this with something like a Yagway just because it synergizes very well. So right off the bat, we're going to want to go and get extra full mana on something, throw this down on anything that we have alignment for, or keep waiting until we get alignment, keep moving the board until we do. And here we'll want to convert something that isn't purple and isn't yellow, while still getting an extra turn. Problem is, doesn't look like we can actually land extra turn on that. So we could really get rid of purple if we really wanted to, but right here it looks like we do have the opening on the brown, so we'll go for that. Looks like we have it on green. Ideally, we'll just be able to get this looping until we can get a nice Yagway down. We can get rid of yellow if we really wanted to right here, just to make sure that we keep the purple. Really important we keep the purple if you're using a Yagway on this, mainly because we'll want to have that alignment. So Queen Titania, she gains automatic extra turn whenever there's 13 plus red, so you just do that. Get a nice Yagway in there, repeat the cycle. If there's 13 plus red, cast that. Keep casting Yagway if you have alignment like we did. And once you've run out of alignments, you start using Alchemist Hellcat again, and you basically just repeat that cycle infinitely until you win. It's ridiculously strong, and actually one of the better teams in the game. The only real big issue with it is you can't use your hero. You can replace out Queen Titania with your hero if you wanted to, but then it goes a bit slower. But it's a pretty fun team. I don't know how many people bother using that as their main team. It requires a lot more actual planning onto the board, but once you get it looping, it's pretty potent. And as I mentioned, you can do it with double Goblin Rocket too. You don't have to do it with the bigger options if you don't have the legendaries available. But anyways, guys, that will wrap it up for this event. If you still have any other questions or anything else you want me to go over, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Later today, during our stream, I will be going over all of the things that we learned from 4.0, which I pretty much already know. So basically, I'll be going over all 4.0 stuff and what factions are and delve and some other information. We'll delve into some delve information and just a bunch of stuff with 4.0 because they spoiled almost all of it. So that means I can now say all of it. So yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day. Goodbye, everyone.